Hey socialites, welcome back to my channel. So today we'll be doing supernatural encounters, like ghost story, as Jamaicans or Caribbean people would say, Duppy story. So I asked around like my friends on WhatsApp, and I asked some of my followers on Instagram, to share their experiences or encounter. So without further ado, let's get into it. Oh guys, and I have my water here because I tend to get really thirsty, so big up to Pepsi. But yeah, I always stay hydrated. So without further ado, let's get into it. So this one is from Instagram, and this one is Roman, I believe. When I was maybe 12 or 13, my uncle died, and my aunt said he came back to haunt her boyfriend. Can you imagine that, your dad left your partner, your lover, your friend, or, a family member, you come back and haunt them? Like, what kind of petty or vengeance you have against them for just come back and haunt them? So, like, that's crazy, but kind of creepy. Them say my aunt told me that a couple months after she buried her brother, my uncle, his spirit kept coming back to the house. She would always feel his presence when he passed through the gate. My aunt told me her brother tried to choke her boyfriend in his sleep. My mother, who is a Pentecostal who has experience with these type of things, went to the house and portrayed and sanctified the house and ran out of the house a couple times and such. Like that is crazy. Can you imagine you're asleep and then you feel your airways them just lock off because Duppy and choke you, like what? I mean, that's crazy. That is like sleep paralysis. So I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but sleep paralysis. So it happens to me like a couple times. Them always say the Incubus and Succubus, male and female sex demon, I guess, hold you down in your sleep. So that's why, you can't move or you can't talk. But for me, like, I always pray in my head, and that is when I get, like, the release. But yeah, I mean, this is a good, experience, I guess. You could say good, but it is an experience. So, yeah. Next up, we have a what? Next up, we have Kadisha from Instagram. So this is a Anipamo White Witch of Rosa story. Montego Bay. I've never been there though. I think I want to do that for one of my videos. Like go like the haunted house, them abandoned buildings and all of that. But yeah. When I went to Annie Palmer room, there was literally no breeze and the windows were wide open. All of the other rooms' curtains were blowing and everything, but not hers. I mean, that's weird because, them. Well, I think the story goes she killed, like, basically all of her husbands. Like, it's the last husband that killed her, right? Like, but yeah, that's really creepy because I always hear, like, stories of Annie Palmer, on the broom or at night, you'd see her face appear in the mirror because she's actually buried on the property. So yeah, that's crazy. One of my friends took a picture at her vanity and there was a green thing that looks like a face. Like, that would creep me out. Like, can you imagine, like, you take a photo and then when you look back on the photo you see like a face in the picture? Like, that's really scary. That's creepy. But yeah, I left there feeling really drained to the point that night. What? I left there feeling really drained to the point where that night my mom had to come pray over me the only way I felt better. And they always say, when you encounter when you have a spiritual encounter, you tend to feel drained and tired or depressed, like, and chills and all of that. So, she might as well have been present because a fair house at the end of the day. So like them have this woman house as a museum. Can you imagine that? Then she must miserable in her own house. One time my cousin told me that she saw Annie Palmer on the broom at her window. I'm like, what? Annie Palmer on a broom? Like, we know she's a witch, but like you probably just didn't imagine that. But like that, that story like scarred me because like I always sleep with windows and closed because of that story. But yeah. Okay, this one is from my friend Marcel, and this one is from WhatsApp. My mom definitely believes in demon and spirit. She always told me the story of her as a teenager sleeping beside my grandmother. While in bed this one night, she woke up and she saw a floating figure that looked like her grandmother, and she was shocked but couldn't speak when she saw it. And this goes back to the sleep paralysis, like, when you, them claim to say, like, when you, as I said, they're like the incubus, succubus, or, when your soul leave your body, because when you sleep, they say that, your astral project when you sleep. So it could be that. Then the figure floated over her and sat on her chest. Again, the incubus and succubus, like they always say. So it could be the incubus or the succubus came over her and sat on her chest, because that's what they do. They sit on your chest and, hold it down and suppress you from speaking. So, and they sat on her chest and it was heavy and she couldn't breathe, and all she could do in her mind was shout out, Jesus. Jesus. She did it a second time but a little louder. No relief. She did it a third time and even louder, but she still couldn't say a word. She screamed so loud, Jesus, that she actually screamed out loud and the figure was gone and she was able to breathe again. I mean, that's scary. As I told you, when it happened to me, like I end up like praying in my mind and saying like the Our Father prayer, and then it's like I feel the release. So, Okay, this next one is from Banks. The morning after my grandfather died, I was cleaning my room at around 3 a.m. And them always say 3 a.m. are like spooky hours, like Duppy hours. So it's the hours of the spirits, and I guess where the veil, thins. So yeah, between the living and the dead. But yeah. Around 3 a.m. then I saw a shadow pass the door and I saw his face went into the family group. I saw his face, I went into the family group and announced what happened to me, and to my surprise, 3 other persons answered with encounters as well, but in different forms. Oh wow, that's crazy. Sometimes, I don't know, I believe that when we die, we rest until, God comes. So I believe that these entities, these demonic forces, disguise themselves as our families, because if you look at it like fallen angels, demons, whatever you call them, evil spirits, them know your background, like, them know all your family, them know all your ancestors, like, them know you like the back of your hand. So, them could have easily, camouflage, shape shift, change into like one of your relatives them for trick you, and you let them inside of the house, which becomes like poltergeist, like with like a lot of demons or like a haunting. So yeah. But that's crazy though, for him to have that experience and other family members also. So when people say, oh, I don't believe in spirits, like, really? Okay, so you have this other one at the cemetery. At Andre's Parish Church, we were looking for a relative's grave. This one wasn't really paranormal experience, more if it's the same drained feeling, like there's a heavy spiritual energy there, which makes sense since it's a cemetery. I'm just overall sensitive to that, hence why I hate funerals and cemeteries. So this is the same Kadisha from Instagram with a different story. So as I said before, like, when there's like some sort of spiritual supernatural or spiritual entity around you, like, or Duppy or ghost, whatever you want to call it, you can sense it, you can feel it, because I always tell people, you have a soul inside of you, never forget that. So you have a soul inside of you, so this is just flesh, flesh. We have like a living, breathing soul, so yeah. But yeah, guys, that's it for the experiences. So let me know if you had any let me know if you had any experiences or encounters in the comments down below. And as I said before, guys, the supernatural, superstitions, and all of that is what I'm interested in. It's what I'm passionate about. Is what I want, my channel to be surrounded by. Not limited to, but that's mainly what I want my channel to be surrounded by. But I have 1 and 2 experiences also. I remember when I was in Mandeville and I was downstairs eating, and then I came upstairs to wash up my dishes, to wash up the plate I was eating out of, and you know, I felt this strong breeze. And then when I shift the curtain, because the kitchen was, the sink was right here, and you know, there was like the curtain, like, you know, almost every kitchen. So I shift the curtain, and to my surprise, I saw a spirit, and he had a chain on his feet and on his hand, and he had no head. And I was like literally just dashed on the plate and run. And I said, Grandma, my grandmother run come out of the room, and she was like, what? And I was like, I was so shocked I couldn't even speak, but I'll never forget that image out of my head. But like, that was like really crazy. But yeah, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And if you know, enjoy these little stories, you know, as I said, you know, like, comment, and share with your friends. And if you had any encounters or experiences, comment down below. But yeah, guys, bye.